just like you have like a switch.
What's
Yeah.
just that whenever I get ready, So that's what I'm ready.
Bum, bum.
Yeah. All right. So, hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. It is, man, what week is it now? Is it week 4?
4, I think.
Hmm.
Maybe.
We're in too deep. We don't remember what week number it is. All right. So, how is everyone's issues this week? How did everything go with the coding wise?
Good.
Yeah, went pretty good for us.
Awesome. Let's just pop straight into the demos then. Who wants to go first?
Even though one was like a little simple, can I ask if Vola and Stephanie go first? I think Kathy wanted to just prepare something just for a tiny second more.
Sounds great. No problem.
Yeah, sorry for putting you all on the spot like that. Like it was, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this week, Steph and I were working on issue number 8. As a user, I want to mark an item on my shopping list as purchased, so the app can learn how often do I buy different items. And let me show you how we did it. So let's go to one of our lists. And as of right now, you can click on an item, on a checkbox next to the item, and it would be marked as purchased, and it would switch to similar interfaces Chicken has right now. So let's see. And of course, the check-in part doesn't work. Okay, well, if you go, oh, it does work, it's just slow. If you go to the database and you can see that the timestamp on Laurie's got updated to the current date. Maybe it didn't. So it does. I think my internet is being a little bit slow because let's try a different item.
Oh, not to interrupt, but I think I saw like a problem with this from one of the previous weeks. I realized where we were having like a cumulative. Anytime you'd add like another item, it would take like a little bit longer each time. So that might just be something I might have to bang on from a different pull or something like that.
Right, so yeah, as we can see on a Firebase, it did update. So for some reason, it takes a little while, but you can see that the last purchase date got updated to today's date. So if you go back to the list, the items that have been purchased in last 24 hours, they get marked as purchased as well. For example, on chicken, see, it was purchased today, but earlier today, tonight, and it has been less than 24 hours, so it's still marked as purchased. And this functionality allows you to keep a track on what was purchased, and we have an assumption that the user would not be purchasing the same items within 24-hour slots. So that's something worth mentioning. And let's go to the code and see how we did it. Okay, so we created a component called item, and it has all the props, and it has a function called marked purchase. So when you click on the checkbox, the item gets updated with the last purchase date in the database. And in order to implement functionality for the list to display the items and sort whether they were purchased within last 24 hours or not, the approach we chose to use was updating the listener. So just to remind you, the listener listens for the updates on the database, right? So it's pretty much constantly refreshing and constantly running. So the way we did it, we just compared the parameter of the last purchased, the stamp of the last purchased time to our current stamp. And if the difference is less than 24 hours, then we update the value called over 24 to false, and that's causing the item to be displayed as recently purchased. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything you would like me to talk about additionally?
Good job doing the date checking. That was a cool way to do it without using like a library. Very nice.
Okay,
Really
awesome.
cool.
Then I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Something I'd noticed when I was looking at this was, I don't know where it was happening or where it was coming from, but I noticed that like I think one of the reasons why it might be taking a long time for the UI to update with the database change is I noticed that the item component was consistently getting re-rendered. It was like infinite looping. You don't see any warning in the UI, but if you were to throw like a console log into the item component, you would see it like constantly be rendered and rendered and rendered. So I think that's something you might want to look at too, to see if there's any slowness that might be affecting it.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Is it just in the use effect?
Because I'm sorry.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Sorry, is it like, is there no default or like a default array in the use effect? Is that why it's constantly re-rendering?
No, I think it's constantly re-rendering because there's a listener that always listens, right? So it's constantly checking whether there are updates or not. I think that's what's causing it.
Yeah, totally unrelated to this, but it's just something I wanted to bring up that might cause some of like the slowness that we're seeing with the checkbox. But I mean, yeah, that looks awesome. The code you did was a super awesome way to do that. So fantastic job.
Thank you.
Okay. Brandon and Kathy, y'all want to show us what you got?
Sure. I'll just share screen and I will do the UI segments. Sweet. Let's see. Hold on. Every time I do this, I swear the camera view always blocks the console and I haven't learned my lesson yet. So yeah, okay, sweet. Here we are. So our task was that we want to see a welcome prompt to add our first item if the list is empty so we know what to do, right? So basically, if we were to create, let me just refresh. There we go. If we were to create a new shopping list, we just wanted this card, this placard to come and tell us, like basically that we have no items inside of our shopping list and to please click the add item below. Very simple task. And we made sure to add a cute little emoji. That was Kathy's recommendation. But that's pretty much it. If we were to add an item, let's just say for some reason we buy toast, I don't know, and we go to here, then the card is gone. So that's pretty much how it works from the UI point of view. And Kathy, I'll just drop it over to you so you could explain how the code works.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, it's sounding great.
I'm not using my earpiece at the moment, so I just wanted to make sure that the mic was sufficient. Okay, so as Brandon indicated, part of the issue in the user experience before our changes, if a list was empty, the user just saw kind of empty space on the page without a real notification or an indicator to the user why that space, what that empty space meant. So in an attempt to correct that issue, we were thinking about where and how to make those changes. And even though that's technically the list component that you can see here, what's actually being rendered through the list component is the listener, as we know, which led us to think about how we could modify the listener component. But in an effort to make sure
Kathy, that I don't see your screen if you're sharing.
Oh crap! I'm so glad you said something. God bless.
I literally now said to a spot.
I was like, it has to be me because no one else is saying anything.
Yeah. I was now typing up something.
I wasn't, you know what? My nerves were so like in the zone. I wasn't even reading the chat. Like I see now. So there's a few messages. Sorry. Okay. So, not to repeat too much, since we heard the words, we just couldn't see the code. To clarify, this is the point, this is the area I was indicating when I was talking about the list component and the listener being rendered to the page. So we went over to the listener component. Thank you guys for letting me know early rather than later, before I got too deep into the code, that you couldn't see my screen. So we wanted to modify the listener component, but in an effort to modify it without affecting the way other components utilize the listener component, because the listener component is utilized in a few different places within our app for usability, because this is React, so we're trying to maximize our efforts and have a dry code base. So we thought about introducing here kind of a new item to the state, which is empty. And Brandon and I talked about modifying that, the naming convention a little bit, to is list empty, because that is really speaking to the shopping list and if it is empty or not. And we set it with the default state of true. Once we utilize that within a ternary operator later down within the render. So if the shopping list is not empty, then you'll see the listener items as usual. But if the shopping list is empty, what you'll now see is a card component that we created. Moving over to the card component, it is pretty simple, but we tried to add a little fun to it. And we did that with, as Brandon showed you in the UI, with the little emoji. We tried our best to make sure that it was, that emoji was also user friendly or accessible, I should say. So we've got our ARIA label in there, so that hopefully the screen readers can also pick up on what it is as well. And then we added a little bit of styling following the syntax that we've been using, and the SAS kind of naming functions, naming convention, excuse me, and with a little bit of coloring. These stylings are just something that we took a stab at, but we can change them once we have a future, a larger idea of what we want for the design of the app. We did also, in terms of accessibility, take some time though that's a horrible use of accessibility with my pink. I needed to still change that. Sorry, you can't read it when I highlight it. But to make sure that maybe the title and the subtitle, kind of using some UI, trying to make sure that your eye is drawn to certain areas and that you could still read it on the dark text, which is part of the reason we changed it from the white background, because it wasn't as easy to read. So that's about it. And unless you guys have any questions for me in particular, and or for Brandon, I will stop sharing my code unless you guys have questions about the code.
Fantastic job with the ARIA label. That's a small thing, but it's just makes such a big difference and for making this more accessible. So great job, Neil.
That was all Brandon, so thank you so much.
Oh, always pro accessibility. I really like how we've been gradually being more accessibility minded throughout the week. So I really appreciate that.
It's freaking cool, dude.
Yeah. Great job with the demos. That was awesome. It was a great amount of work y'all did.
Smooth demos. Very good.
No, despite my hiccup.
No hiccups. You were great.
Stephanie for the win, because I was never going to see that chat. I would have been all the way through the demo before I realized that y'all could not see my screen. I'm just going to own up to that. So
that's the role that I play, is talking out.
Perfect. So now I think now that we're done with demos, so last week we did our learning module. So this week we're going to be doing retros again. Yeah. And so I think how long? So we're going to be doing the appreciations, what went well, and what could be improved. And let me drop the link to the board in the chat. How long do y'all think you need to write stuff up? Maybe like 10 minutes? Is that good for everybody?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Let me share my Spotify screen so I can play some music for you all. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right.
Oh look, it's royalty free.
It's royalty free. All right. Is it too loud? I can turn it down.
Yeah, it's a little.
All right.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Sweet.
I'll see you all in 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay, I think it's been 10 minutes. Does anyone else need any extra time?
Good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Let me share my screen. Okay. So, I guess we can just go in order from the top. Steph, you want to go first?
Yeah, I just said thanks.
Yeah, so I appreciate a couple things. Thanks for showing up to Code and Coffee. I always get a little bit self-conscious that no one's gonna show up to events that I plan. So I appreciate it. And I just really appreciate that everyone's always really this week and previous weeks as well, everyone's always really accommodating and just really supportive of teammates. So I really appreciate that. And thanks, Joey, for always having some great code hints on Slack and in code reviews.
Okay, awesome. I could go next. So first of all, I really appreciate Steph's clear and early communication. I believe it's really important in a teamwork to know what's happening with the other side. So cheers to you and thank you. I also appreciate our mentors. Thank you so very much for your advices. Thank you for taking time and going through the issue, making a suggestion, and I appreciate your approach, whether you would suggest the resource and not reply straight away on, how it needs to be done. So I appreciate the flexibility.
Okay, so what I appreciate, let's say, first of all, the mentors, your time and the insights that you guys provide, especially in Slack, but even and the code and coffee, and just conversations, finding out information and learning about, the developer world and the real world, and growth insights. I'm also really grateful for everybody else in terms of, it seems like regardless of who I work with or talk with, during that interchange, I'm usually learning something and growing from that experience as a developer and as a person. So I really appreciate that, especially, during rough weeks. So thanks, guys.
Oh, it's my turn. Hey everybody. I just want to do like a general thanks to like all of you, I guess. Like we've reached a point in time where like I've worked with everybody, and it's just so nice. Like this is a really nice like working experience. I enjoy dealing with everybody, mentors and coworkers, and I really, really, really appreciate that. Instead of us just doing like learning technical code stuff, like in terms of us like our project, that we're actually getting resources. Like we're getting tech talks, we're doing the accessibility, we're getting this new library discussion coming up soon. It feels like it's a lot of value being handed to us, and I really appreciate that so much. And also like just shout out to Kathy for this week. Like it was just great working with Kathy, always is. And yeah, that's me.
Cool. So for me, I appreciate Volha. You're really good at asking like really good questions that are like specific to what you're working on. I never get a question from you where like I'm lost. You are very clear and concise about explaining the technical issue you're trying to solve. So I really do appreciate that. And then shout out Jen for doing the coffee and code. That was really fun. I had a good time doing that. That was a good time. What day was that? Was that Friday? Was that Thursday or was that Friday? Or I actually forget the day.
I think it was Thursday.
I think you're muted, Jen.
Thursday
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Thursday
Thursday,
/
right?
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, I'm thinking that we might do that every Thursday if people are down.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like nice and informal. No one's
Yeah.
getting recorded.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're trapped.
Yeah. It'll be a nice way for me to finish the day because I'm still working about that time, but I get tired at 4, and so it'll keep my energy up.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So thanks everyone for those appreciations. It always feels good to hear nice stuff about yourself. So we'll move on to I think what went well. And I can start it off. There's a few things that I want to mention. Really awesome demos. I think in the last, I really enjoy our lengthier demos too and the conversations that come out of them. But what I really saw this week was that I saw major improvements in the way that you show your demo as well as the confidence in presenting the demo. And it just, as Stacy would say, it warms my little heart seeing everyone improve. So awesome job, everybody. And I really did, I think this is, of all the groups that I've worked with, and I was a collabie too, this group is really good with PR descriptions. I feel like they're very thorough every single time, and I don't have to really ask too many questions about clarification questions until I hit the code. And so that's really, really awesome. And then as usual, I know I said it last retro, but the code is fire. And I really enjoy seeing how you all solve the different issues and the problems. So good job.
Awesome. What went really well for me, I really enjoyed working on the last issue. It was a little bit unclear on how to approach it, so it was a good puzzle to solve and just trying different ways of solving it. So I really enjoyed that. And I think what I enjoyed the most was finally able to figure out the tokens. So, it would get compared, local storage tokens would get compared with the database, and only the ones that are still in database would get displayed. So I was very happy to finally able to do so.
So well, for me this week, I was, kind of leaning into the appreciations. Collab Lab was just a really bright spot and a rough week. I always enjoy working with Brandon. He's always so positive, which is wonderful. And I learn a lot from him as well. And he lets me kind of peer into his personal life about his internship and things, and is always so patient with all of my questions. So I appreciate that as well. And just trying to also figuring out how to like kind of lean into trusting my abilities as a developer. So and thinking that you can, hoping you can accomplish certain things and then actually accomplishing them as the week goes on is like helping to build that up, I guess, is really what it is. So thank you.
Oh wait, it's me again. Hey. Yeah, just building off of that point that Kathy just said. Whenever I work with Kathy, we often tend to have like a really it tends to run like even like extra smooth. I think a part of it definitely helps that we're in the same time zone. I will not front, but it's also that like I find that when it comes to the pair programming segment, it feels very natural for us to switch between driver and navigator and like back and forth a lot of times. And like we both seem to have like a very good idea of what we want to get done in it. And I appreciate like the structure that we tend to do. Like it's kind of unconscious, I guess, but it like is always super smooth. We always know what we want to accomplish and that kind of stuff. And also I just thought Kathy's demo this week with like the code was like extremely clear. It was like really good. There were some times where I was like, right, that's how we did that. Like it was really clear and I really appreciated that. And yeah, beep beep.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo what Jen said about the demos we've been seeing these past few weeks. From both a product demo and a technical demo, I think they've been super strong. And yeah, I mean, y'all are just doing such a great job on the demo. Like, don't doubt that. You guys are doing a great job. And it's really nice to see.
Yay. Well, thank you everyone for sharing those. So I think now we're going to move on to what could be improved. And since I am again at the top, I will start off. First of all, I want to premise this with, I think everyone's doing a really good job already of like being more vocal in Slack and like updating people. So I want to thank you for that. But I think, kind of what the original flow of the project is like first peer review and then mentor review. And I think for myself, it's still a little bit unclear on when you would like a mentor to take a look at things unless someone specifically asks us. And so I've gotten into the habit of like every Saturday just like doing it, even if the other pair hasn't done it yet. And so I think it would be nice if there was a little bit more, I don't know how to like just some sort of way that it can be more clear on when support is needed, especially in like the PR reviewing and then merging to production. And the only other thing is I feel like we have a couple of PRs that straggle sometimes because like we want to get the new PRs done, and this happened a lot in our Collab lab too. And so if we could like try to prioritize the older PRs to just finish them up and wrap them up, and go ahead and like ping people and be like, please review my code to get those done and into production before the next weekly sync.
Awesome. So to follow up on what Jen said, I could say that on my part, timing was a little bit delayed this week, and I feel like it's unfair to mentors and to the other team. So I think for the future, it would be cool to try and complete everything ahead of time, so everyone else does not have to complete their reviews at the last minute. So I think that's something to be aware of. And I also probably have another note for myself to go through the demos more than once, because of course in live demos stuff goes wrong. And when I did the demo before, everything was working and there were no delays. But if I would have done it multiple times, I could have seen delays and would not freak out during my demo. So that's me.
Sorry about that. Okay, so sorry. I burnt myself. It scared the heck out of me with my coffee. Sorry about that. Okay, so I could have done a better job of preparing for my sessions with my coding partner, maybe trying, over the last 2 weeks, come into the session with a little bit more, just prepping, looking through the issue more, maybe having some practice, or maybe having some, code in mind of an approach, or pseudocode, etc. And then also in terms of the code reviews, kind of touching on what Jen and Vohav were saying, I think that when I do my code reviews, part of me is a little intimidated, and who am I to give constructive feedback on other people's code, kind of thing. So maybe I should only say positives, but also with the timing, I noticed on one or so, I remember just trying to, just give it a thumbs up and move it along if it all seemed to work well, just because I know we were short on time. But I want to, moving forward, maybe put on my QA hat, and really try to do a better job of finding areas to provide value in those code reviews. Because I've noticed, that's an opportunity that I haven't had before to do, code reviews, and I want to make the most of it, and give value back where I can. So that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I was 100% asleep when the Code and Coffee went out, and I'm definitely not gonna miss next sesh. And that actually bothered me a lot. But what's been happening is that for this week, I've been coordinating with a guy from India, so my sleep schedule has been super wonky. Like my work day has been starting at like midnight, and again, I could have let people know. That's my bad. But either way, I promise I'm not missing the next one. I already have alarms set up. I have everything properly like prepared. I will be there. That's me.
Yeah, I guess I'll finish it up. I mean, I don't know. I thought this week went pretty well despite everything going on. Solid. All the acceptance criteria was met. Solid code, solid pull request. I don't have much to add in this one.
Yay! And that concludes our retro, our second retro. Does it feel good to do these retros, everybody?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
Cool.
So we're actually on track for once. Joey, do you want to take it off with the issues?
Oh yeah. Let me share my screen. Okay, share this one. Cool. All right, so let's look at the project real quick. So we have duplicate items. Well, I'll look at this board when we're done and move stuff across to make sure we're keeping this up to date. But with that, let's take a look at our new issues. So as a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. So there's going to be a text field above the top of the shopping list area. As the user types into the field, the list should narrow the display down to only contain the text the user entered in the filter field. When the filter field has text in it, the user should be able to tap the UI element. An example is an X button to clear the field. And the filter should match any part of the item name. So it should not only match from the start of the string. So we have some UI searching in here. And for the other one, we have, as an item, I want my estimated next purchase date to be commuted at the time of my purchase. Is recorded in the database so that the app can learn how often I buy different items. So whenever you were to add an item, it would need to figure out the next purchase date automatically. There is a script included that can be used to calculate the next estimated purchase interval in the source lib estimate.js file. So you can take a look at that. Okay, cool. Does anybody have leaning strong towards one of the issues? One of them is more towards like UI and like searching. The other one is more towards, doing a little bit of database stuff.
I think Cassie and I could take the issue 10. Wait, yeah, issue 10.
Issue 10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Look at the list. Cool.
Good choice.
Does that mean you wanted issue 9 stuff?
We wanted to do 9 anyway.
Everyone's on
literally
the
now?
same
Like that.
wavelength. Nice.
Perfect.
That's a win-win all around.
Yeah, it's like we're on sync.
I mean, I was
And-
on the fence on it because
And then you're like, it was decided for me.
no, I wanted to see what 10 was, but then looking more at 10, it's like, oh, okay. Like they're both gonna give you. You're gonna interact with some of the same things
Sure.
either way,
Yeah.
which is what I was looking at. And then I got an idea how to do 9, Brandon.
Let's go. I'm hyped.
Oh hell yeah! I'm rubbing my
Perfect.
hands right now. I love this.
The wheels are returning.
Oh,
the
let's
9
get
wins
like
out.
code I already have. It's on GitHub. You know what I mean?
Oh, actually,
Let's do this thing.
Joey, did you want to look at the project board just to make sure that everything's in the right spot? 'Cause
Yeah.
I just wanted to sync
and
up
I-
with
I
everyone
wanted
to
to touch
see
on
where
that.
everything was.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't entirely clear
And I
to
wanted
me
to touch on what you
everyone
said,
needed.
Jen, too, if possible.
Sure.
You
Go
had,
ahead.
while Joy brings it up, if that's okay. Okay, perfect. So you had mentioned about like when everybody pings everybody, and it made me think that like I've been kind of following a process in my head, but I don't think I shared it with anybody, which is so helpful. So, because like when I create the PR in my brain, I usually ping the review, the peers for peer mentor review, and then my brain, I've been waiting until they finish before I ping you guys to say, oh, okay, now it's your turn, quote unquote, for mentor review. But if the peer review, and this is, just semantic or just information, if the peer review leads into the right and the schedule, I have been waiting until it's completed before I actually ping you guys. But then if it's Saturday or Sunday and it's not done, then I haven't pinged you, but you don't know that that's what I'm waiting on because it's in my brain.
No,
that was really-
I figured that's what we were waiting on. So that's why I was just like, all right, I'm gonna chill until someone tells me to review their code, kind of thing. But that's why in the last few weeks I was like, I'm not sure if this is what they're thinking. So I'm just gonna go proactively review their code, and also part of the reason why we want mentors to hold off on reviewing code before the other team gets to see is maybe the other team will see the same things the mentor sees, but we want to give you the opportunity to give that feedback first because it's your team. Right. So that's why peer reviews are really important, and that's why we even hold off until the last second to put in our reviews, because we want to make sure that the other team has a chance to say their piece.
Yep. Okay, so looking at some of the issues that we have open right now, let me close all these tabs. It looks like the duplicate one still needs to be merged. It looks like there's some merge conflicts though. So if y'all need help with that, I'm happy to help. And then it looks like we have some peer reviews. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was kind of waiting. Since Steph created that PR, I didn't want to step on her toes. I was letting her kind of, or I figured she was leading the charge, if that makes sense. So I've been kind of stepping back, but that's also something that's probably in my head, not that I've communicated. A, and then B, I did look at Volha's comment today. Well, I saw it I looked at it today before we met, and those changes do work and we can make them, Volha. And to answer your question as to why we did that, Steph may know better. My brain's a little foggy, but I do know we can make them.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think when I looked, the issues are really, I'm sorry. I think when I looked quickly yesterday with Brandon, or whenever it was randomly, merge conflicts are simple, but I didn't want to take away from Stephanie having the opportunity to actually make that commit or whatever. Sorry. To you, Steph.
Nah, I said go. I mean, step. The merge conflicts is it's kind of the same. It's the same ones that I had when when we were working, right? So it was the same. It's the same stuff. So that's why I'm like, it doesn't really matter. And then two, what Voha brought up was us going back and forth between different ways to, so it just kind of like this is where we landed in the workflow, which we were trying where we got the stuff to work. So versus convention is what that ended up being. We didn't go back to what it would typically be. Yeah, but like we went through like I don't know how many different ways of connecting to Firebase. Like like there was all of you see what I'm saying? Like it was all of that. So by the time she mentioned it, it was like, oh, you talking about the simple
That
way
I
to
do remember.
like where we started? Oh yeah, like but by the time we put that into 17 different components, it is it that's that so it's a tough one to answer in a I mean it's doable. But yeah, there's no reason you can't do the thing, Kathy. I mean I put I just you let me put the gifts in there, which apparently nobody people I was like people like the emojis, nobody likes my gifts, so I guess
I thought it was cute. The cat. Remember that was a draft PR. I didn't remember when you did it. I was like, oops, I didn't know when you did the draft that the
yeah,
gift
but I
was in
put
there.
the
But
real
then when
one
you
in.
did it, I thought it was cute.
I'm talking about
Oh,
I'm
we're not
talking
talking about
about everybody else on the call. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so and then uh this week was like an out week for me. So though it was like small stuff, and even though I did like pop in and read, um, for the sake of just taking this week off,
Which is
then
totally valid.
I wasn't going to dip my toe into to any of it. But I did read it and process it. And like, oh, okay.
Right. In regards to my comment, I honestly changed it, so there is nothing else for you to do. So I was just wondering whether the previous way was not working. So I just saw if it does, and it does. So I think I already sort of done it for you. I hope it's okay.
Yeah, this one.
Cool.
Thanks, Woha.
Yeah, so we have this one, looking back at the board, and then once that one's in, we just need some, I think we need some peer review on, looks like this one was peer reviewed.
These last two issues.
Looks like
Yes.
Yeah,
Waha.
that's still on my off week.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yep.
I did not peer review that one. We can.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sweet
for sure.
Shades. I need to peer review as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally fine. I just
Same.
wanna. I wasn't sure what was going on. That's why I wanted to ask and clarify.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to do it.
Cool. Yeah, so when those are reviewed and whatnot, I can update the board so it's reflective about what we're actually working on, and then
Okay, so Joey wants me to do it,
well, whoever wants to peer review it.
but I'm not going to do it.
No pressure.
I don't feel it. I don't feel any of the pressure. I'm saying it while it's recorded, but I'm not going to do it. Not that I won't look at it, but I'm just saying because it doesn't match with my off. Like it's not consistent with my off week.
Sure.
We just start on the next week.
Just to clarify, that's just the peer review, not the PR, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our PR
Check, thank you.
is the gifts and all of that. I mean, and then the PR is what Voha did.
Well, no, when I
for
say
my
the
week
PR,
off.
I mean, yeah, the PR I'm referencing is our PR stuff that
Yeah.
you created from when we worked. So you're going to do the merge conflict and then like merge actually merge it to the brand,
Oh,
right?
girl, I
Or
thought
do
you
the
said
pull
you
merge work?
you said you didn't want to step on my toes, and I said Steph, but I could do it.
Oh, I didn't hear step at all. I
I,
didn't.
I could do it. I wasn't too great with the merge conflicts. I figured they would just figure themselves out before we merged, but they did not um, speak
Wouldn't
amongst
that be
themselves.
nice?
You know what I mean? I figured it was something that was happening on my machine. Turns out that's not the case. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
It'll be
So
merge conflict experience. Maybe you get and you a chance for you to get cracking. It might be fun.
Cool.
well,
I
I'm
mean
gonna
that in the
stop
nicest. I'm
recording
sincere.
now. So well,
I
thanks
love
everyone for the
getting
weekly
cracking.
sync.